Our search and rescue efforts in Malaysia have entered a second day after a migrant boat capsized off the northwest coast. At least 30 people have been rescued and 11 bodies found, including women and children. Hundreds more are still missing, most of them believed to be Rohingya people. They have fled from Myanmar about 2 weeks ago. CNA's senior correspondent Afifah Ariffin with this report.
Malaysian authorities were first alerted to the incident on the morning of November 8th when police in Langkawi received a report from a ship's captain that 3 people were found floating at sea. They were rescued by the crew of the Philippine-registered cargo vessel and brought to shore, setting off a full-scale search and rescue operation. Investigations now show those survivors were part of a much larger group of around 300 migrants, mostly Rohingya refugees from Myanmar and some Bangladeshi nationals who had departed Butidau in Rakhine State about 2 weeks ago. Each reportedly paid more than $3,000 to traffickers promising safe passage to Malaysia.
Pada 6 November 2025, kesemua penumpang ini telah dilaporkan dipindahkan ke dalam 2 buah bot barasingan di tengah laut. Sebuah bot kecil membawa sekitar 70 orang, manakala bot yang lebih besar membawa kira-kira 230 orang.
The fate of the larger boat remains unknown, and Malaysia's Maritime Enforcement Agency says the search zone now spans 250 square nautical miles, involving naval ships, marine police and patrol aircraft from both Malaysia and Thailand. On land, however, the future of the survivors remain uncertain. Malaysia isn't a signatory to the 1951 UN Refugee Convention and has no domestic laws recognizing refugee status. So even though the Rohingya are considered refugees under international law, in Malaysia, they are still treated as undocumented migrants under the country's Immigration Act. That means they could be detained pending verification by the UN's Refugee Agency, which decides who qualifies for refugee status. But even then, their prospects are limited. Malaysia doesn't formally resettle refugees, and access to work or education remains restricted. The government has long maintained that it cannot absorb large inflows alone, citing pressures on resources and sensitivities over border controls and jobs. Afifah Ariffin, CNA, Kuala Lumpur.